Christmas season is finally over, however we've got one more week before the new year, so I thought I would spend this final week of 2022 keeping it up with the Christmas theme and talking about my personal favourite Christmas films of all time. This is not going off their cinematic merit, talking about like cinematography or writing or anything like that. This is just going off my personal preferences in what I like in Christmas films. And weirdly enough, a lot of them are sequels. A lot of the ones that I like are sequels. I don't know why. Before I go any further, I want to make it abundantly clear, I'm not going to be even mentioning Die Hard or Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't want to get into that debate of whether they're Christmas films or Halloween films, or if it's a Christmas film or not. I don't want to get into that debate. So I'm not going to be mentioning them today. Without any further ado, let's crack on with my number 5 Christmas film of all time. I'm looking down because I've got my notes on the floor here. I should probably put them somewhere a little bit subtler, shall we say. Number 5 is A Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas. Now, this is a very smaller one. It's not as big as some of them, particularly over here in the UK. It's not as popular in any way, shape or form, but I love this film. I grew up with this film when it was on TV. It's the one that I grew up watching. It made me want to really love hot chocolate. I don't like hot chocolate, but I really wished I liked hot chocolate. I remember sitting down when I was like, I don't know, like 6 or 7, and I was sat down and I asked my mum to make me hot chocolate while I was watching the film, and she came in with some hot chocolate and I drank it, and my heart just broke. It just broke. Honestly, it's an amazing film. There's a load of different storylines happening. It's kind of like an episodic film where there's a load of different short films happening all together. You've got Minnie and Daisy having a skate off. You've got Huey, Dewey and Louie breaking into Santa's workshop. It's just a load of fun, a load of happy, just wholesome enjoyment to have had out of this film. So that's my number 5 pick. My number 4 pick is a slightly newer film. It still came out a couple of years ago, but it's, in comparison to my other ones, it's slightly newer, and that is Noel. It's an Anna Kendrick film, and I know a lot of people don't like Anna Kendrick, but I think she does a very charming job in this film. I think her performance is very, very, very charming, as well as a lot of the other comedian actors in this film. They do a very much toned down performance compared to what their usual work is, which is always nice to see. I always think comedians who normally go over the top do a really good job when they tone it down, and when they go a bit more reserved, I really like seeing that happen. And again, it's a really wholesome film. However, the main reason it's in my top 5, it probably wouldn't be in my top 5 if this wasn't the case, but the score and the soundtrack is all done by a band called Lawrence. If you haven't heard of them, let's get on their Spotify. They are insane. The kind of like pop, soul, jazz. I don't know how to describe it. One sec. Rach, can you come up here for a sec? How would you describe Lawrence as music? Like what genre? Like
pop something. It's not jazz.
Is it not? Love you.
Yeah,
Like a lot.
yeah, I like a lot.
So they're a pop group, but yeah, and they do the entire score and soundtrack to it, and they're very talented musicians. Check them out. Number 3, it's the second sequel in my top 5, and it is Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. It is the superior Home Alone film. It is so much better than the first one. The stakes get lifted so much because in the first one they knew he was safe, he was at home. They thought, oh, okay, he's going to be upset, he's going to be scared, but at least he's at home. This time, he's in a completely different city. He's in a different state. He is miles away from home, and seeing Kevin McAllister thrive in this environment, in a situation where most kids his age would just crumble, is really entertaining to watch. Just like with the first one, there's an older recluse character. Don't think that's a word, but you know what I mean. There's an older character who's a bit more like separated from society, and I like how they have those characters in it, because it shows you that It's not all about what's on the outside, it's about what's on the inside that matters, kind of a situation. Harry and Marv return as the villains for the sequel, and they are the perfect villains for a Home Alone film. They are brilliant. They are the best home invasion invaders in any home invasion film. They are incredible. They are just like cannon fodder. And to have them return is a very smart move as well. They could have very easily, because they were arrested in the previous film, they could have very easily had different people trying to steal from this toy shop. But the fact that they got them out, they escaped the prison, makes them feel a little bit more dangerous than the first one, because before they were just common thieves, but now they're fugitives essentially. And it makes them feel a little bit more dangerous in this second one, which just helps to ramp up the stakes a little bit. Just the perfect sequel, in my opinion. My runner-up, my second Christmas film, is a film that you probably might not have heard of. It's not a very well-known film. Let me just double check I'm saying it right. It's Love Actually. You might not have heard of it. Jokes aside, it is an incredible film. Yes, there's issues with them calling someone who isn't fat over and over and over and over and over again, like that being a running joke, her being fat when she's not. And even if she was, it's not something that you want to be saying in a Christmas film. Andrew Lincoln's character is just a bit of a creep and not exactly any form of redeeming quality other than the fact that he's a fairly attractive dude. Yes, there are those issues, however, I feel like the rest of the film, in and of itself, very similar to Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, all these individual storylines that come together in the end make this film worthy to be in a top 5 position. And if those more problematic issues weren't in the film, it would probably be in my number 1. Those issues are there, so I've had to bump it down, and I wouldn't feel comfortable putting it in a number 1 spot for those reasons. Now, before I move on to my number 1 Christmas film of all time, I'm going to go through my honourable mentions. I've got a list, so I will be reading off the list. Just quick fire, just going to be talking about them really, really quick. So they are Wonderful Life, Mickey's Christmas Carol, particularly Mickey's Christmas Carol, not just any one. I prefer Mickey's because that's one I grew up with. Miracle on 34th Street, Home Alone, the original, The Santa Claus, Polar Express, with these 4 films very nearly getting into my top 5. They would obviously all be in my top 10, but that is White Christmas, Christmas Chronicles, Nativity, and The Santa Claus 2. Like I said, sequels are better than the originals when it comes to Christmas films, apparently. And my number 1, my favourite Christmas film rather, of all time is Last Christmas. The Emilia Clarke-led film featuring a load of Wham music and a load of George Michael music. It's just great. I know it's potentially a controversial pick, a hot take to have it as my favourite Christmas film. However, I love it to pieces. I love Emilia Clarke in everything that she does. I love the rest of the cast. Obviously, Emily Blunt is incredible in it. I love the fact that there are 2 members of the primary cast that aren't either characters who are immigrants or British-born people who are people of colour. There are, like, there are 2 people in the entire film who don't fit into one of those 2 categories. One of them is the main homeless guy, and the other guy is the guy who's running the homeless shelter. Everyone else is either a person of colour who was born in England or a white person who is an immigrant, which is just amazing for the diversity and the inclusivity that we need to be having in more films, particularly in more Christmas films, because at the moment a lot of Christmas films are just a lot of white people celebrating Christmas, or a lot of white people and one person of colour celebrating Christmas. And there's not many films that have as good representation as this. Yes, obviously, the main character and her family are all just white people. However, they are immigrants. They came from Yugoslavia, and they do mention the fact that in the time with Brexit happening and all of that happening when this film came out, they do mention the fact that with them being immigrants, they're gonna some of them are scared of being deported, and having that in a Christmas film, but without it losing its wholesomeness as an overall film, is very well done, and I think it is an amazing film. On top of that, if you don't know what the film is about, I'm not going to spoil it. A lot of people say it's not a very good twist, but when I watched it, I was shocked, and I thought it was going, whoa, that's so cool. I thought it was well done. But again, I'm not very smart, so that might have something to do with it. But yeah, so that is my list. My question for you guys today is, what is your favourite Christmas film? Please comment it down in the section below, in the comment section below. If you want to give me your full top 5, give me your full top 5. But other than that, that is my time, and I will see you guys next week in 2023. That's actually crazy. I will see you guys in 2023. Bye.